It is 5 p.m. I will call the meeting to order. Declaration of a quorum, 7 members present. We will move to item C1. Are there any public comments? No public comments. We will move to item D1. Consideration, discussion, and possible action related to the 2020-21 compensation plan. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, board members. In just a moment, our CFO, Amy Droz, is going to review our 2021 proposed compensation plan for our employees. This is the same plan she shared with you last Tuesday evening, so hopefully it'll be fairly brief. At the conclusion of her presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free, and we would, at the closure of that and any questions, be looking for approval of this item. Ms. Droz?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I hope I will be brief, as Mr. Martindale said, but just to kind of go over the compensation plan and see if you have any last questions, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. We were able to stay just below the $1.5 million that we kind of originally allocated into the budget. The primary focus, of course, is to be able to recruit and retain highly qualified people. So we want to be competitive. And in this, we increased the beginning teacher pay, which is where we showed you last time, where we were behind some of our market groups. And we're able to focus on raises for all of our employees, all eligible employees, by reviewing some of the areas and doing like a 1.5% and 2% off of the pay plan for those. So the beginning teacher pay, we want to go from $44,250 to $45,500. And in that, ensure that all eligible teachers receive at least $1,000 increase from their 1920 base pay. Okay. We've adjusted some stipends that we talked to you earlier about to better align with the competitive market and work duties. Looking at 1.5% for the administrative professional pay grade, an increase for them that is based on their pay plan midpoints. 2% for clerical professional and auxiliary. Increasing the beginning bus driver pay from $16 to $16.50 per hour, and increasing the employer contribution to health insurance, which will allow for this year 2 plans for the employee only option at no cost to the employee. Prior year it was 1 plan. They did add a plan as an option for our employees. So in summary, this is what the salary schedule looks like that's in your packet that you'll be adopting. This is based on a 10-month employee, and the average on that $1,000 increase to the midpoint is 1.92%. This is just a summary of the stipend changes and deletions, additions that we went over last time. Detail of the entire stipend is in your packet. This is the healthcare plan. I didn't put the entire selection and premiums, but I did highlight the 2 that has a slight increase on the employer side. The active care primary, that is a new option for our employees, and then the active care high deductible. So both of those would be at no cost if the employee is just covering themselves. And that's it. But in summary, your packet will include a couple of things. It's going to include the teacher salary schedule. It's going to include the stipend schedule. It has the pay plans, minimum, midpoint, and maximums for all 3 pay groups: administrative, professional, para and clerical, and auxiliary. And it includes the contribution rates for healthcare. So that's what's in your packet. Are there any questions? Wow.
I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
Sorry. And I apologize. I do think I should ask this one when we first looked at this, when we didn't really talk about this piece of it last time. First of all, I have no problem with the compensation. I said that last time we met. I'm excited that we can be a little bit more competitive and move those numbers up. But, and also, I'm also glad to see that we're offering the 2 health plans that are at no cost to our employees. That's always been an issue that, we like to keep our eyes on. My quick question, hopefully, is just on the stipends. I just want to, it's a reasonable amount of money, and obviously we have a lot of our faculty and teachers that are doing above and beyond their classroom, and that's sports, extracurriculars, as well as lots of academic support items. Could you just cover real quickly how those stipends work, and that they're always, that these clarify that those teachers are doing their full in-classroom work, and that this is for time usually outside of their classroom work? And I don't know if that's you or you, Mr. Martindale, that's best to answer that.
Well, I can explain it. The athletics and fine arts, those are the easy ones because you physically see them out there on the athletic fields and in the competition. So those are the ones that are more visible to anybody in the community that sees the extra days that they're working as well as the longer hours. It's some of the other ones that are sometimes a little bit harder to see. They are academics and UIL, so you may not see a lot of it. They stay after hours working with those students as far as the competitions. I can't speak to, how that they follow them. I haven't been here during that time period, but those are the ones that are not quite as visible.
Correct. The stipends are for the time outside. And many of those you will see that there's additional days as well because they work through the course of the summer. So like yearbook, you might not necessarily see the yearbook sponsor, but they're up there at 8, 9 o'clock in the evening sometimes preparing the yearbook or newspaper, those types of things. So absolutely, this is for beyond what they're paying for as far as their steps on the teacher schedule.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you both.
Mr. Ben, you have anything? If there is no other questions, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I move to accept the compensation plan, the 2020-21 compensation plan as presented.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes. I would just like to comment that I'm going to vote for the increased compensation plan, and like Ms. McAdams, I'm very happy that we're in a position to be able to do that. To a great extent, this is for kind of a cost of living adjustment almost. But we're able to do this because of wise planning and thriftiness from previous boards who have built up the general revenue fund and so forth. But it is something that I think we need to be wary and understand that a lot of people in our community are not only getting raises this year, but they're losing their jobs or losing businesses. Their property values are sinking. And, if things get bad, we just need to keep that in mind for the budget next year, that, there may be some things to think about. But like I said, we're in a position this year to do this for our teachers, for our staff. And I think we definitely should pass the motion.
Any further comments? So I got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move to item D2, consideration, discussion, and possible action related to changing the first day of the school for the 2020-21 school year from Thursday, August 13th to Tuesday, August 18th. Mr. Martindale.
So I didn't in May and June anticipate that we'd be talking about the calendar again in July. However, if you remember, we discussed it first with the board in May, and then we took action in June, and at that time, we moved the start date to Thursday, August the 13th. At that time, the commissioner and TEA were really advocating for school district to add days. They had yet to approve or give guidance or even hint at would remote instruction be an option for the next school year, much less fund it. And at that time, they had not yet really built the timeline around allowing parents to make choices instructionally as far as what model they prefer and dictate to us the timing we had to prepare for that. So circumstances have changed and moved us to this day and time. With having families having the option of an on-site or a virtual option up to 10 days prior to the first day of school, the amount of time to prepare and the logistics, because the operational guidance not coming out till July the 2nd from TEA, is asking that we consider moving the first day of school back to the first day of school of Tuesday, August 18th, to give our campuses and our teachers 3 more days to prepare. So I've mentioned many times through all of this, circumstances continue to change. I think we made the right decision based on what we knew in May and June. And I think adjusting this and giving time back to those campuses to be prepared for the huge task at hand and adjusting that date back and giving them 3 days, I think that's the right thing for the circumstances we have currently. So I would ask the board to approve the adjustment of the first day of this school year to Tuesday, August the 18th.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Any items, parts of this that we'd like to discuss? Any comments? We can start and work our way around if we like to.
I'm good. So I just want to clarify that this does not affect any of those other calendar changes that we approved in June.
There are no other adjustments to the calendar except the first day. All the others that we worked are still there.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm going to make at least one point that I do think we made the right decision at that time, and I think it's the right decision now. Certainly, if we can give our teachers a few more days to prepare in this situation, all the better. But I'm going to say I do think that just moving that start date is certainly a piece of what the start date needs to be about. I do think, and I am hoping that at some point soon, we will continue to get either some guidance from the health district about should that start date be both in person and virtual, or potentially just virtual. I mean, you've heard me say this a few times now, so you kind of at least know that I want to have that discussion and get some talk about the information about that would help us make that discussion. And again, hoping to get some more guidance from the health district. But on the other hand, I feel, and I think we've been given directive that it's not their decision to make, it's our decision to make. So I don't know if this is, I mean, I know start date's on the agenda today, but specifically about changing the date. I think to me that is a piece of choosing the start date, is knowing is that start date in person or virtual. And again, you kind of know where I stand on it, or at least a little bit. I would be interested at some point to figure out where everybody else is on that point as well.
I think if we're going to have in-depth conversation, Ms. McAdams, I don't know if this agenda probably allows us to do so, since it's specific to the first instructional day. Our latest data, I can tell you, as of this afternoon, and I think we had a little over 12,000 responses thus far, 12,200. Because we have 62.8, in between 62 and 63% of our families responding are choosing the on-site model. So we're running the 37, 38 for virtual. So that's the data that we have through earlier today. And you're correct. I'm not sure what additional or feedback we'll get from the health department.
From the health district. Okay. Well, and again, it's important to know what our families want, obviously, and I'm glad we're asking them. But the other piece of this equation is some of the people who may not have as much of a choice, and that is some of our faculty and staff. So I do feel like it's our responsibility to keep them safe as well. So again, not saying what the answer would be, but feel like the discussion should be had. So thanks.
Mr. Mardell, along those same lines, I know one of the things we were doing was asking teachers if they preferred to be on campus or teach virtually, and especially in regard to this new potential start date. How's that going?
Those numbers, and I'm looking at Ms. Perry, so those that preferred the virtual option, I believe, or that particular preference for teachers was 17%, correct? And then two other choices were they had no preference and teaching on site. So obviously the two of those together were 83%. And I don't remember, I think it was 60% on site, or it was in the 50 range. There you go, 59% on site, and the difference was they didn't have a preference. So I know our folks are, as they're planning and working scheduling, and we've had a number of meetings to have those conversations. I know HR's having conversations with those teachers that have submitted a preference of virtual to see what their circumstances may be. So again, I would be asking the board for approval to adjust the first date.
I motion to accept the changes of the first day of school for the 2021 school calendar from Thursday, August 13th to Tuesday, August 18th as proposed.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All the vote, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We will move to item E1, executive session. Pursuant to the Texas Government Code Section 5510821, deliberation regarding a Level 3 parent complaint, and if necessary, consultation with legal counsel via telephone pursuant to the Texas Government Code Sections 551.071 and 551.129. We will return hopefully shortly. The board has concluded deliberations regarding the Level 3 appeal of a parent complaint. The time now is 6:26, and we are reconvening an open session to take action on the appeal. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the discipline appeal of the parent and deny the requested relief.
Got a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. President. I just want to say, and again, this is maybe a curse of being a lawyer, but looking, first of all, for the administration that's here today, y'all did everything that you should have done in this particular case with the issues that were involved. My only from a strictly legal standpoint, looking at the law, looking at our policy, my concern was as to the classification of the level of threat. And so that's one of the things that, if there was something that, if anything, that I disagreed with, that's the one issue. And again, that's a, just a belief that we should follow by the letter of the book. And, but in protecting our students, in being in control of the situation like you needed to be, from everything that we read and everything that we heard, I could not be more proud to be a parent of a student at Welborn in the way that y'all handled that situation. So I just wanted to let y'all know that, because I'm probably going to vote against the motion, but and not because I wanted to grant all the relief that the parent asked for, but just solely based upon I thought we should change that classification strictly based upon the language within the policy and the law. So just want to let y'all know that.
Any further discussion? At this point, I'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So the motion carries 4-3. It would be Mr. Ben, Ms. McAdams, and Ms. Nolan that are voting against. At this point, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you.